Madam President, it's an honor to rise and speak in tribute to my dear friend and trusted colleague, Johnny Isakson of Georgia, and to follow the junior senator from the state of Georgia. Something remarkable happened just before this session on the floor of the Senate. It was a bipartisan lunch in which virtually every currently serving senator, nearly 100, gathered not just because there was tasty barbecue, but because we were there to thank our friend and colleague, Johnny Isakson, for his decades of public service, for his dedication to this body, for the ways in which he has really been the glue that has helped hold so many of us together. And you just heard it again here on the floor, his passion, his commitment to working across the aisle. Johnny Isakson's been an effective, a capable, a powerful senator because he's never worried about who gets the credit for the work he does. He's kept his word. He has a great sense of humor. He's easy to be with. He's persuasive, he's persistent, and he's principled. So let me just start by saying to Diane, to John and Julie and Kevin and the grandkids, thank you for sharing Johnny with the state of Georgia and with our nation for decades. When I first got elected to the Senate back in 2010, which was a somewhat unexpected election, I got seated right after this special election. A respected senior realtor from my hometown named Dick Christopher came and told me I should look up a guy named Johnny Isakson from Georgia, someone he knew from business, from real estate. He said he's a good husband and father. He's a principled man. You'll enjoy working with him. I'd never heard of him. So I looked him up online. And if all you had to judge someone by was their right-left positions, well, he'd succeeded Newt Gingrich. He and I, on the surface, on a few positions, would have nothing in common. But as luck or providence would have it, when I got here, he was the trainer with Barbara Boxer for ethics for the new senators. And to his misfortune, he got assigned to be my mentor. And I began what has been an adventure that hasn't yet ended, and I hope never will, of a friendship and a companionship that's taken us to some pretty wild places. Early in 2011, I was made the chairman of the subcommittee on Africa, and Johnny was the ranking member, and I could not have asked for a better companion or partner. We did dozens of hearings on foreign aid policy, on security and trade interests, on the growing role of China in Africa, but then we also went and visited places, widely, places both easy and hard. We went to Mali and Congo, to Senegal and Benin, to South Africa and to Ghana. Over several trips, we visited AIDS orphanages and hospitals, water purification plants, and Millennium Challenge Compact trips. We saw on these trips, the terrible impacts of terrorism and grinding poverty in countries like Nigeria and Mali, but we enjoyed some pretty darn good times, too. Seeing the fruits of the best pineapple plantation I've ever been on and enjoying a beautiful vineyard in Cape Town, South Africa. But Johnny didn't just go because it was an assignment. He went because it was his passion, even his calling. The first trip we took together was to Benin, a tiny little impoverished country in West Africa that hadn't had two senators visit in 50 years. And we went because Kate Pusey, a young woman, a Peace Corps volunteer from Georgia, had been murdered. Tragically and senselessly murdered because she tried to report child abuse back to the Capitol. We had a remarkable and memorable series of meetings there that I won't go into. I'll just say that the thing about Johnny is not just did he persuade me and others to join him in the quest for justice for Kate Pusey, he worked and worked and worked until ultimately the Kate Pusey Peace Corps Volunteer Protection Act was law in 2011. That was followed by so many others. Johnny is the consummate legislator. And on this one small subcommittee of one of the many committees of this Senate, he and many others of us worked and passed the Electrify Africa Act, the Global Food Security Act, the BUILD Act, the Nick Castle Peace Corps Reform Act, and of course, AGOA reauthorization, something we worked very hard on. You see, the secret to Johnny's success is that he doesn't focus on the two-dimensional ways that you're different. He focuses on what you've got in common. My home state, we've got a county raises more chickens than any county in America, and the whole state of Georgia raises more chickens than any other state. And so Johnny suggested, and I'd agreed, that we would form a chicken caucus. You may not know there's a chicken caucus. You may not know about the great ways in which it has made the world safe and free for America's chickens, a tasty, low-calorie, incredibly environmentally sustainable, and affordable source of protein for a hungry world. This ad brought to you by the National Chicken Council. In fact, at one point, the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee mockingly called me the senator from chicken. But our work together on AGOA reauthorization and our travel together resulted in opening new markets to American exports. And on this floor, in this august body, with all the things we deal with, that might seem like a small accomplishment, but I'll tell you, the chicken farmers of Delaware and Georgia are grateful. Each of us comes here to represent our state. And in the travels I've undertaken with Johnny, I saw a remarkable passion and commitment to his home state, which has made him such a great legislator. There's so many other things we've legislated on, but I know we have literally half the Senate waiting to speak. So let me move. The other joy I've had with Johnny, which has been at the other end of our decade together, has been he's now the chairman and I'm the vice chairman of the Ethics Committee. It's a very tough committee. We handle difficult subjects, and Johnny runs it well and will be deeply missed. We are joined here by many of the staff of the Ethics Committee, the folks who've seen his common sense and his humor, his decency, but his focus on getting to a result. It's been, for me, just another opportunity to see how Johnny Isakson lives his values. We've joined together almost every Wednesday morning at a bipartisan prayer breakfast, and Johnny has taught Sunday school for 3 decades at Mount Zion United Methodist. And those of us who've gotten to know the blessing of his humor, his decency, and his common sense, his attitude that everyone is a friend or a future friend, know that it's rooted in his connection with the eternal. Johnny said something important here just a few minutes ago. America, we have a problem. And it's my hope that after today's good, brave, important speeches, that some of us will step forward and take up the best way to honor Johnny, which is to model, to mimic his style, listening to each other, respecting each other, committing to practice a brand of politics that's a little less combative and a little more focused on results, finding ways to trust each other and to work together. In some ways, Johnny's best work has been his tireless, relentless work on behalf of our veterans. And as I've heard said, the best way to honor our veterans is to be the sort of Americans for whom they fought and served. This Senate, this body, needs to step forward and be worthy of the service and sacrifice of Johnny Isakson. Johnny, I can't thank you enough for all the ways you've been an amazing partner and a colleague on issues large and small. Your kindness and friendship has meant the world to Annie and me. As you and Diane go home to enjoy the blessings of family, just know that I will always look forward to another visit in Georgia or Delaware, and I'm always up for another trip to an obscure country that hasn't seen 2 American senators in 50 years. Thank you for your service, and God bless you.